Hello, good evening. Today we are going to discuss about the methods of data collection. Data means the raw information which we collect for the purpose of doing the research. So the data collected is a set of values which can be qualitative or quantitative variables. Quantitative data is something that can be expressed as a number or quantified. So, qualitative data is a categorical measurement expressed not in terms of numbers but with categorical data. For example, favorite color is equal to blue. So, quantitative and qualitative data can be gathered from the same data unit depending on whether the variable of interest is numerical or categorical. For example, if the data unit is a person, now the numeric variable can be when you ask how many children do you have, the answer would be 2 children. So that is an example of quantitative data. Whereas in case of categorical variable, if you ask like in which country were your children born, if the answer is India, then that is a qualitative data. How much do you earn? Rupees 60,000. Where it can be expressed in terms of numbers, it is quantitative data. What is your occupation? Teacher. That is a qualitative data. Now, in case of data, we have two types of data, which is primary data and secondary data. When the researcher collects the data by himself, that is called as the primary data, which is going to be used for the first time. Whereas secondary data is the data collected by someone else and it has already been passed through some other statistical processes. The researcher, as per the requirement of study, may decide on the use of primary data or secondary data or both. Both primary and secondary data, they have their own pros and cons. The method of collecting the data mainly refers to collecting primary data. As for secondary data, it is already available. Just we have to carefully choose the sources from. It can be from articles or journals or newspapers or any reports, something like that. But when you say primary data, the collection of primary data can be done by various methods. For example, observation method, interview method, questionnaire method, schedule and other methods. Observation is something where the researcher himself observes what is happening, what is the pattern of things happening, traffic patterns or land use patterns, something like that. So, when the researcher observes, then what we take with our senses, then that is interpreted. The mental processing, at last the researcher takes down the official observations. After filtering all the unwanted things, the important matters are being recorded. Observation is helpful when we need direct information from the samples and when we try to understand the ongoing behavior. There is physical evidence, products or outputs that can be observed. It is need to provide alternative when other data collection is infeasible or inappropriate. Different types of observations are there. They are participatory and non-participatory, candid and covert, structured, semi-structured and unstructured, controlled and uncontrolled. There are some advantages of the observation method. The subjective bias is eliminated since the researcher himself observes. Researcher gets the current information. On the spot he is observing and taking down the information. And it is independent of the respondents. Whereas the disadvantages of the observation method is it is expensive, time consuming, and only limited information can be collected and unforeseen factors may influence the observation. And in case of interview method, that is also one way where the oral verbal stimuli happens, and the interview can be either personal interview, focused interview, clinical interview, or non-directive interview. There are some merits and demerits of the interview method as well. Then the third one is the questionnaire method, where the questionnaire is sent to persons to answer, and it consists of a number of questions. It can be sent either on the mail or personally. The information can be collected. Then the next one is the schedule method, where the researcher directly contacts the persons and then gets the information. It can be either filled by the researcher or the enumerator, but it is expensive. Some other methods are the warranty cards, pantry audits, consumer panels, projective techniques. And through all these ways, the information can be collected for the purpose of research from the samples. Thank you.